Maximus Analysis here for February 16th, 2016. We see we had a follow through today, which was good. Again, we want to see what the third day does and what type of strength they're going to have going into testing the previous sell signal, which is around here in the 1913, 1914 level. If they could break above that, maybe an upside potential of 1936, maybe 1950, 58 before we see a pullback. Again, a pullback just meaning, or at least a sell signal break of a previous high or low. If we go to basically like a 30-minute chart, you can see they held this 1971 area very, very well, and they're continuing to go higher. Just how much juice do they have to continue to the upside? Just trying your best to not, again, if you're in the oversold bounce, congratulations. Again, based on Friday's and today's action. We'll see what they have going into this thing. Again, gap ups that weren't faded. We'll see how they continue and go from there. But again, we'll continue to look at the 1871 area, and we don't want them to get below the 1840 to 1836 area, and then potentially break down to test these previous lows, which is again not the all-time low, but the low we've been looking for right now is that 1802.50 area. Is kind of where we want to see things go. So again, we're in times that we understand that volatility can go either one way or the other. So just we might have to trade a smaller time frame to get more type of direction. But you could see that they still have a lot of ways to go to make up for the ground that they broke down, which has happened. You could get a clear a signal here looking to the left on last September. But I'm trying not to join either the fully bearish camp or the fully bullish camp, because a lot of people are getting bullish, and I'm like, we're not even over 1900 yet. But again, they have a couple good days, and I think a third one might come as well. So we'll see how the follow through looks and what type of volume we're having so far. Let's look at the NQ. And for the NQ, we pretty much have the same type of deal going to see if they can get above this, at least this 4160 area. And then if they could get to like this 4360, I know it's so far ahead, saying 300 points. But we want to see how they continue and if they get above these previous marks right here. Now, again, we'll continue to look at it on a day-to-day basis, because that's just the environment that we're looking at right now. And we just have to trade accordingly. We see they haven't even broken above this previous buy signal, so we can't get too overly bullish. But again, we don't want to be so bearish that they end up, some people took this sell signal right here, which is so late in the tooth or long in the tooth in regards to the downside. We don't want to get caught up with there. So we'll continue to see what volume looks like going in for the next day or two. Let's look at the YM. Again, the YM needs to hold and stay above the 16,000 level. And again, breaking above and getting to that 16,750 area would still keep it in a bearish camp. But again, if you're playing the oversold bounce, there's nothing wrong with that either. So that would be more of an upside potential if you're taking that type of trade, to say I'm looking for a target versus to go all the way up. You just scale accordingly if you're already in the trade and have at least your stop at break even. Crude gave a weird signal today on the daily chart. So we have to see them hold above this 2830 area. Because again, it's such a small, again, you're seeing this type of candlestick. For the candlestick guys, is more like a shooting star, but it's so drawn out that again, it could be a lot of, they could gap it up, or they could break it above this 32 just to squeeze people out to continue to go down lower. Now, we need to hold this 28 area, or they're going to most likely test these previous lows, which is around the $26 mark. So let's look at some names, and you see that we had a lot of the down names really move up. So we did, this is Goldman Sachs. It pops up, but it's still a broken chart. We had JP Morgan, still again a gap up, but not really showing any significant movement. As far as the high beta names, and of course with the Dow, we have the Apple, which moved up very well, which is up almost $3. But you can see that, don't let them blind you with one day's worth of action, because it's still again, if you're trading, the good thing is that you have your line in the sand based on this low, but you can wait for a short because of just how congested this is to the sideways side, but at least you have your line in the sand here. Amazon, it ended up gapping up and kind of just being quiet. So this does not look good because look how low this volume is, and look how far they are from the previous pivot right here. I mean, the previous pivot was around 550, and they're still, way below that mark, and they're way below the 200 days. So ideally, you would want to wait for the 200-day too short, but again, it's already up, and these are not strong looking candles, to say the least, and this is Amazon. Priceline, I think Priceline has some earnings or something like that, so you got to be really cautious. Also, just because they juice up the options, the premiums go up because IV goes up, so it's all baked in the options. So it's kind of difficult per se, but they've had a strong couple of days off of the lows, ripping up almost 100, 160 points or something like that. Let's look at Netflix, up almost 2.25. Again, still very light volume right now, and just testing this previous pivot. So again, we'll look, and you could also say that not only is it testing the previous pivot, but it's also testing this previous buy zone that you probably could say, okay, it's from 101 to 98 as well. So this band of resistance that might be here. Let me see if I could draw it out for you guys. Something like this might be something you could say also, okay, they haven't gotten, they're in the middle of it right now. So we'll play that accordingly as well. Tesla up $4, but again, it's still, you can still see that it's just, it gave a little small sell signal, but it's still a broken chart trying to look at the bigger picture versus just 1 or 2 days. But if you, Google, this is Google's chart. Look, they got the gap fill on this one, filled it again, and now it's just sideways. Again, they want to hold above this $700 level. LinkedIn gave the slightest of oversold dead cat bounces, but just doesn't have anything to give me an advantage trading what we considered a pattern here. So we'll look and see what happens tomorrow. Oh, before I go, let's look at Facebook, and that was down 40 cents. It actually looked a little bit weaker, but it's still the gap fill. I mean, we're kind of long in the tooth. If you're already long, congratulations, but to get long now, means you have to put your stop below this 96.50 area, and that might be a little bit more risk versus reward for that. So just wait for a good setup and go from there. So we'll continue to look at the markets. They're still in kind of no man's land both ways. So trimming down or going to a smaller time frame to get some more perspective is probably warranted due to the aggressive nature of how things are going so far. So again, thanks for watching, and if you have any names that you want me to do, just leave some comments below. Take care.